and welcome to Jessica's Creative Spot. I'm Jessica, and this is where I'm sharing the very creative things that I do. So this is an update from April's video of my April knitting and sewing plans. I'm looking at the stuff laid out before me. I apologise for background noise. The dishwasher's going. This is when I have time to record. Okay, things I have finished. I need to cut off the strings, but I wanted to wash it before I cut them off so that they'd stay in properly. I have finished my gloves, Falling Leaves by Sarah Oman, and have come out absolutely beautifully. I went back and finished the ends of the fingers of the ones that I needed to, and so I have a pair of gloves. Not that I know if you can see them against the pink. They're still a little bit damp, but I was amazed with this wool when I was washing it how soft it felt in the water, which I don't normally register that wool feels particularly soft when it's wet, but this one did. So I will link to a place that this can be bought, at least in parts that I know that I can buy it again, because it's lovely, my sort of colours. Another thing I have finished is, well, technically not finished because it doesn't have a button, but finished enough that I've worn it a few times. So this is the 3-hour sweater. I'm pretty sure it took me at least 10 hours. Yeah, so I changed the ribbing, the size needles that I had on for the bottom ribbing at the back. I think I would have been fine sticking with the original, but also in this wool I like how it came out. It's lovely and loose and surprisingly warm. I think that's partly to do with the type of wool it is. So that's that one. And I mended some socks. They were getting holes in them. As you can see, not the first time I've mended them. The grey was the last time I mended them, and the white is this current time. Useful to know where my socks are wearing out. That's the side of my foot, that's the ball of my foot, and that's the heel of my foot. Yeah, I found that quite interesting to note for myself. Okay, these are the places that my socks wear out, and I can go from there. Okay, works in progress. I have cut out 2 sets of pads. That's one, and this is the other. I like to change out the colours so that I know what thickness they are. So depending on what colour fabric on the top and what colour fabric on the bottom tells me what thickness it is, and that's just because I remember it. I will need to likely go back and figure out some way of numbering them for how thick they are, because in the middle I just have toweling material. This is pretty thin toweling, and so 3 is for my heavy pads, 2 is for my medium, and 1 is for my light. So I need to figure out a way of naming them on the pad where it's not going to be annoying. So that'll likely be on the bits that fold back. Currently I use Velcro to stick it together, but I've recently gotten some snaps, some domes, and so I might give that a go on these ones, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's probably one of those ones of using putting domes in seems like a really big thing because it's new, but when I try it, it'll probably be easier than I thought. That's what I'm hoping, at least. Yeah. Other works in progress. This is me practicing doing bound buttonholes from the Dirty Princess Line Coat Charm Patterns. So as you can see, I haven't done all three, I've just done two. This was the first one that I did, and I'm unsure. I probably need to look up a tutorial. If anyone has any suggestions, let me know in the comments. When you cut the bit in the middle of the square, do you then leave those flaps in the middle when you do the lips of the bound buttonhole, or are you meant to tuck them out of the way? Because I wasn't sure what I was meant to do with that. Basting threads coming undone, not terribly surprising, given that I've cut the other ones loose. This is a very good example of why you hand stitch it in and you don't machine stitch around the edge to hold everything in place, because that's a hot mess. Let's bring it closer. You might be able to see it looks so bad. With matching thread it wouldn't look as bad, but it looks bad enough that on my coat I'm just going to do it by hand, because it'll be easier than trying to get it in exactly the right place on the coat. Yeah. So I have another practice to do, and then I think I need to actually cut it out. Oh, the fabric is over here, which is why I'm looking this way. And I just realised I forgot this. So I decided on what lining fabric I want for the coat. I've got this black from the sleeves. Not sure if I'll have this on the back of the bodice as well. I'll see how I go. Actually, given how big the sleeves are, the pattern's over there. Given how big the sleeves are, this probably will just end up being the lining for the sleeves. And then out of my stash I pulled this fabric because it's got the red which matches, and it's a nice fun wee print to have on the inside. Yeah, I keep going back and forward about interlining my coat with Polar Fleece. I'm wondering if I just want to interline the skirt, because often I'm wearing a jumper anyway, and so having the extra warmth around my legs, because it's my legs that get cold when I'm out and about, so having the extra layer around my legs might be enough. I'm really not sure. Anyone has any advice or experience with coats and lining, if I should just do it all one way or just do the skirt part warmer, let me know what you think. I am open to suggestions. So for those that don't know, open to the page of bound buttonholes. This is the Princess Coat by Charm Patterns, and this is the style that I'll be doing in red. So yeah, that's that work in progress. Keep saying Anywho, this is the end piece of a wee basket that I plan to make for my daughter's room. She doesn't have enough room for all of her jumpers to fit in her chest of drawers. It's a fairly small chest of drawers. And so I was thinking actually just having a basket sitting on top of the chest of drawers where she can put her jumpers will solve that problem. And I thought, why not use two of the fabrics that she has picked out and make her one. I had a very big whoopsie with this one, and that I cut out what I thought was fusible interfacing, and then I went to iron on, and it wasn't fusible interfacing. It was frost cloth, which had made its way into my stash because I had sewn wee covers to go over our fruit trees for the winter. So So yeah, that was not good because it immediately melted on my iron. Thankfully, it came off pretty quick. I was very glad that it did not just stick and stay on my iron. And then I just went ahead without getting out any more interfacing, at least for the end bits. Seeing how soft this is, as you can see, it's not really staying up at all. I'm showing you the inside instead of the outside. Like even with the ends on it, I don't think it will stay up properly. So I think these end parts will be fine, but I think for the main bottom and sides, because I've just got one big bit for the bottom and sides, I think I need to interface that, which I've got medium weight interfacing, which I can use for that, and then that'll just give it a bit more stiffness, which hopefully with the quilting will help. I've got again more toweling in here. Ooh. There we go, you can see there more of that toweling. For me, it was doing the whole, okay, let's try and put a layer in there that's not necessarily interfacing, that will help to stiffen it. Unfortunately, it's not quite enough, and to give it a bit more thickness. This is, I got the inspiration for this from, what's her name? The lady at She Sews Seams. She made a wee basket to put cutlery and things in for eating outdoors, and I got inspired by that and going, actually I can do something for my daughter's clothes, and so that hopefully will do what I want it to do. I said no change, no update in the floofy dress. Again, fabrics over there. And this, what I'm wearing, is one of the, buttons undone, one of the dresses that I went to show you. Hold on, let me get the pattern out. McCall's 80883. So it's this one, and again, it's the long sleeve with the long skirt. I found out the hard way, there's not enough volume in the bottom of the skirt for me to cut fabric out on the floor. I popped a button off, so that's this last button here, not on at the moment. I need to sew that back on. I also found the dangers of using flannelette, because with a vest or overdress or something over top, it looks fine, it looks lovely. Without it, it looks like a nightie. So from that, I've got ideas of things I might want to make, and I get to wear this vest, which has been in my wardrobe for months and months, and I can never quite figure out what to wear with it. Whereas with this dress, it's like, okay, what am I putting on over top? Am I putting on this vest? Am I putting on one of my short sleeve jumpers? I've put this one on over top before. It goes quite nicely. And yeah, that's that. One of my lovely friends got this book from a secondhand store, and I absolutely fell in love with this shrug here. It's gorgeous, and I started looking at it last night and looked at the yarn that it needs. So it's Peyton's Zavago 50-gram balls, and looking on Ravelry, it's a 10-ply yarn, 50% tencel, 50% acrylic, which sounds an awful lot like what I used for this. And so I got out my Motivera Cynthia and had a look at it, comparing it to what was needed in the book, and I was just like, I don't think I could have got closer if I, like, without buying the exact yarn that it calls for, which is hilarious. So this is my gauge swatch that I haven't quite finished, but I started off on 4mm needles, which is what it asked for, and then I was like, this feels a bit tight, and I was like, oh yeah, it's 10 centimeters across, and then I actually looked at the tension square and said it was to work a 14 centimeter by 15 centimeter tension square. Use 4mm needles, cast on 25 stitches. I was getting 10 to 12 at most. Like, if I stretch it out, I would get 12 centimeters, not 14. Also, it doesn't say which weighs 14 and which weighs 15. So I went up to a size 5mm needle, and this appears to be getting gauge. As you can see, gorgeous pattern, and made out of, I felt how warm this one was, so this shrug is going to be absolutely warm and gorgeous. Yeah, so yeah, I think that's all my plans. Knit this and make this, make these, hopefully actually get around to cutting out and start sewing up the coat. I'm so nervous about doing the coat. Hopefully I can just do it and then it's done and I can wear it and I can be like, okay, for the next one I will make these changes. Okay, thank you for coming. Glad you could catch up on what my plans are. Let me know what you're working on down in the comments below. See ya. I forgot to say, I also made this headband on camp. It was one of those ones of, if I'm sitting there talking, listening to the stuff, I want to be doing something.